Hello?
Asm,
What? I totally missed what's going on.
that was your cue.
Oh. This is doing some other stuff. Okay, hello, I'm Isom1644. And I'll let the cats introduce themselves.
My name is Mytherium. I'm going to be commentating.
And I'm Tsugoiichan. I'm a washed up Nier runner as well.
We're all washed up.
It's just opening stuff, sorry. Oh god. Alright, this is gonna be weaponless. So, just to get everything set up, I'm gonna load this game and then go back to the main menu so I get all my default settings. And I start a new game. I'm thinking of a file name of, I guess, wgjsrfhd marathon. That work?
Sure. I mean, I'm not gonna, yell at you
Just
for
fits.
file name. Yeah. A little
Alright.
odd to name a combat robot that, but I don't mind to judge.
Oh,
Anyway,
combat robot
yeah.
work too, I guess. Anyways, this is gonna be weaponless, so the first most important thing we have to do is go to the settings and go to game and make sure that this is either set to passive or long range. And we can change that to passive or long range during the middle of the run. And that's about it. So,
Are we ready to start?
Yeah, I am on the timer if you guys are ready to go.
cool. In 3, 2, 1, go.
Good luck, have fun.
Thank you. Good luck.
All right, I'm basically just gonna leave you guys to it. I got some work to do, but I'll have the stream up in the background. If anything goes down in flames, like yell at chat or like ping me on Discord, I will come running.
Cool. Thanks.
Alright.
But yeah, so Nier Automata, if you're not familiar with it, is sort of a Japanese action game, sort of hack and slash-ish, with different elements of like shoot 'em up sections. And we're going to be starting out the game in one of these shmup sections, but we will be transitioning to like the 3D combat parts later in just a few minutes. So, like what Isom had said before, what makes this run a little bit special than other Nier Automata runs that you may have seen is the fact that we're doing this without weapons. And that actually changes the gameplay pretty significantly, because in a traditional A-ending run of Nier Automata, we get to deal massive amounts of damage in the form of like damage glitches with our short sword, and pretty crazy movement with those weapon attacks as well. But with weaponless, we don't really have access to those.
Yeah.
So we're limited in our capacity to deal damage, but also in some of the movement as well.
Yep. And I guess to make up for some of that, well, excuse me. To make up for that, we'll end up getting some taunt-up chips later in the run, which will basically be not only increasing the amount of damage that you do, but also the amount of damage that you receive. So it makes it into real gamer hard hours.
Yeah, basically a lot of things will be able to one or two shot us towards the end of the game. But right now, everything's pretty simple. This is a shoot 'em up. I'm just gonna be trying to destroy everything as quickly as possible, and moving our allies from one side to the other so they destroy these things as quickly as possible.
So it's important in these shmup sections, being right at the beginning and prologue here, a lot of this is pretty optimized, but that is not exactly the case with some of the weaponless punching that we'll be doing later. But a lot of this is just on autopilot here.
Yeah, I think every slash most, at the very least, shmups have fixed spawns for every enemy. So, after 500 million attempts, you just muscle memory it.
Back to another stretch break for a bit. I love this beginning of this game. There's like 3 or 4 stretch breaks, and then it goes back into shoot 'em up mode. Yeah, not much happens at this point, but the main thing that's gonna happen about like I think a minute is we'll get into the main game, and that's where you'll notice that 2B has 2 weapons equipped, Virtuous Treaty and Virtuous Contract. Now because she has those 2 weapons equipped, we cannot use those weapons and have to unequip them, or else the run is invalidated. So I'll go into the menu and do that in a bit. But first, more shoot 'em up.
Yeah, so unfortunately, because it being weaponless, because we do have to menu to unequip those, there is a little bit of an extra time loss incurred because of that. It would be cool if we could just start the game without the weapons equipped, but for the purposes of this kind of run from a new game, we can't exactly do that. So we'll be seeing this later in the run, but we'll actually have to unequip our weapons twice, just because the game unequips them or we can unequip the weapons from us, and then the game re-equips them to us later on.
Yeah.
So here, right as the cutscene transitions, what Isom's going to do is going to open up his menu and unequip the weapons like we were talking about.
Menu decided to not work with me for a bit, but if you're wondering why I dash twice, it's because I can't actually open the menu while there's a black bar in the screen. You'll see them every
Right.
so often.
So when the robots turn red and steamy and angry, that's when they're taunted. So even though we don't have taunt chips, you can still taunt enemies just by spamming it with a flashlight, which pisses them off. And what is it by default? Like increases damage taken and given by like 50%?
Yeah, 1.5 times.
Yeah.
If you were thinking about it in terms of like the text description of other taunt chips, it would be like 150% damage. But that's actually pretty important, just because with only bare fists, we don't have many other options for increasing our damage just naturally. Whereas if we had like a short sword or something, we could increase our damage by 5-fold. So we don't really have that luxury with just bare fists. So there you saw Isom used one of his buffs that increases his melee attack damage, and he also has a ranged attack up. Or no, I think it's a defense.
So it's a defense up, yeah.
Yeah, it's a defense.
Defense. Yeah.
So he's able to use that to, I believe, get another double amount of damage.
Yeah, 2 times.
Yeah, 2 times.
You ever think about how it's weird how like for the shmup sections you still like recover health by using recoveries, but if like a recovery is a consumable item, why is it healing a mech?
So there you saw crane skip happen. They're a little bit of a different method, but a very old method as well, because this section of Nier Automata was available very early on in the game. People started to develop strategies like that. Bare fist crane skip was one of those.
All right, so here's our next like advanced, I guess, combat technique of slow-mo. So when he killed the big swinging arm thingy, you saw like a laser shootout. That's just like your default pod program. Well, for whatever reason, if you just hold it down, it'll slow down the world around you for the duration. So you can just cheese combat basically by doing that, so that everything will be slow except for you.
So coming up here outside of Silo 2, we have Bridge Skip. Bridge Skip is one of those tricks that's actually pretty difficult with weapons. It's even more difficult without weapons. So what Isom's going to be doing is getting a double lift off of these I-beams and trying to get over to the top of the bridge with like a pod launch.
Come on.
This is probably the hardest in the game, TBH.
There you go. I wasn't getting enough height.
Nice. So he just jumps across the bridge, double jump, and pod spin with a plunge to get across.
And now I'm out of bounds.
It's time, the moment of truth.
Oh yeah, did we mention the walls are pretty much a suggestion in this game?
No, we haven't. Because that was about the first out of bounds we've had. Oh, it's
We'll be
late.
seeing at least some out of bounds later on as well.
Some.
For now, it's mostly combat. So these shield guys are actually kind of a little bit of a problem, just because in comparison to the stubbies that we were fighting before, they just have a little bit higher of a health bar.
And that's that was it. Yeah, we're just blazing through this right now. Other than bird skip.
Zooming, one could say.
I guess you could say that.
So if this game has shoot 'em up sections, does this mean we have punch 'em up sections as well?
There should be another facility across that bridge.
What is that style of game called?
Should we check it out?
I
Beat 'em
mean,
ups or
maybe.
something like that.
Beat 'em ups.
Man to get a location.
I like punch 'em ups better.
When they get back,
Well, yeah, we do punch a bunch, so probably.
I guess it's just the movement sections now.
Now for things to not make much sense. So I'm gonna go over to this corner and then look at this arm right over here and just move the camera up and down. Oops, I didn't get it. Oh, what? Okay, well, it did hit. So... Anyways, I'm then gonna use buff, hit this guy a bunch. Oh, and forget that this is how you're supposed to do things. Yep, there you go. And that's Marks 2. Basically, you can shoot a laser, it hits one of the arms, but because lasers go for a very far distance, it hits both of the arms at the same time, dealing double damage. And you can do that twice.
I'm actually really happy that's possible, because it just highlights how much of a difference in terms of damage output there is between a traditional A-ending run with weapons versus without. So getting into creative scenarios like that, trying to make use of as much damage output as we possibly can to go through each of these bosses pretty quickly. I'm not gonna lie, I actually didn't know that was a strategy, so I'm happy. So this is Engels. He has two fists. He likes to use them.
Yeah, this is, the stereotypical I'm gonna punch your fists with my fists moment.
I guess.
If anything, I think this goes just for it goes to show the resilience of the concrete that we're standing on. I mean, if Engels is able to wail at it with his fists, that has to be pretty strong.
I guess, but the front part of it is broken, so how?
Magic.
Space magic.
I guess. So, if you were wondering, we were just hoping that Engels didn't do punches towards us, as that wastes about 20 seconds. But because of Weaponless not being able to do a lot of damage, usually the easiest strat is just to either have long range for 9S, as he can just solo Engels by himself, or to wait for one punch cycle, as you deal more damage by just punching his fists if you wait a cycle, rather than slow-moing it to make the RNG in your favor.
Yeah, mostly because we actually need that podfire damage to get him to the threshold. If you don't get him to the threshold at the end of this section where he's breaking the bridge, he can just stand there and continue to attack until you get him to that threshold. So if in the scenario that like what we do in a traditional ending, where you are slow-moing him 9 times out of 10, just to slow down the boss in general, we aren't actually pod firing, but in Weaponless here, we do need that pod fire damage.
Did we ever explain double lifts?
No, but we can here.
Well,
So-
that was what a double lift was.
Yep. So a double lift, basically, we can do pretty good movement as a single lift, just with a jump and a heavy and a light attack. The oh no, it is a heavy attack. Sorry. The object with a double lift is so that way we can get that same lift attack twice. The only difference is that we can only do that on like a slope. We'd use that for bridge skip up against those I-beams, and we also did one just recently here on the staircase to get up a little higher.
The way I like to think of it is 2B hits her head on something, and because she hit her head on it, she gets to hit her head on something else.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's much more noticeable. It's a lot more noticeable to see the effect on Weaponless because of that bare fist lift. It gets you, or it makes the animation a little more exaggerated versus just like a traditional short sword lift.
Is bare fist lift the highest vertical distance? Actually, not sure. I know it's more than like normal VC.
It's a little more than normal VC, but it has, I believe it had some uses before. One of Aloe's tricks before we found EDS to escape.
Yeah, with the Mirageless.
Yeah, to escape negotiations Mirageless, used bare fist lift, if I remember correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like to think that a bare fist lift is essentially a normal lift plus a heavy in the air.
Almost. Back in the day when we used to just do single damage glitches in traditional A ending, a bare fist lift was one of those things that you would use to get that extra height. So back in my day, sorry.
Oh man.
But yeah, we're coming up to the end of prologue here. It's actually important to buff here, just to get a little bit faster kill on angles.
And this is the part in the game where, oh no, you lost your big sword, but it equips your small sword again for some reason, so you just get angry.
Yeah. Though, fun fact, even though you have your small sword equipped, you won't use it until after this cutscene. This game's interesting sometimes. And now we have a menu boss.
Controller.
So one of the funny things with this menu boss here is just setting up some of your in-game settings suggested by 9S. So every player who goes through this is always sort of amused by how the game sort of instructs you to go through it, but we don't really care about that. We just skip right through.
It's like, we already set up the stuff we wanted to set up, but okay.
Talk about in-game settings. A whole new meaning. So some of the spacing here is a little different, I know, between Weaponless and with weapons, because obviously we don't have the ability to use that extra short sword, any of the benefiting attacks that we would get with a short sword, like plunging. Plunging is one of those things that we use all the time in with weapons A ending run, but Weaponless really only has the ability to go down very quickly, not at a 45-degree angle like it would normally with a short sword.
It's like a 15-degree angle or something stupid like that.
Yeah, it's not exactly like straight down, but because we do use the bare fist plunge to clip out of certain things, but it's not nearly as much as like the 45-degree angle you see on a short sword.
Models are built for that kind
So now we're flying through the sky again. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say we're back to another shoot 'em up.
Again, very choreographed. Sorry. These guys all spawn in the same place at the same time. We don't really have any way around not using the flight unit. Like, you can't exactly be in a shmup without the flight unit. We would if we could, but there's really no way around it. So pod fire and melee attacks it is through this. We can still use our pod programs as well, which we'll see soon.
Almost flew away from me. I was concerned.
Oh, geez, yeah. So sometimes those spinners can kind of get a little way from you if they decide to do one of the attacks, the one where they shoot all the balls. Usually, if they do a laser attack, they kind of stay where they are. But generally, we want to avoid them doing the spinning attack. The spinning attack usually deal a little less damage to them because you're not able to get as close.
Target location acquired. Marking on map. Proposal. Proceed to target location.
So here we are in the city ruins. 9S is going to complain that we're just jumping off of buildings, but again, we don't really care. Surprisingly, we're not able to take fall damage because of that, mostly because if the game thinks that we're not free falling, then it just won't deal damage to the player, which is kind of funny because if the game makes it a whole ordeal over taking fall damage, then we can just completely avoid that.
Yeah, we also, in that recorded menu, you're forced to equip self-destruct, which is a really, really useful tool later. Self-destruct will also do the same thing where you can, if you're like in the self-destruct animation when you're hitting the ground from a really high height, you still just won't take any damage because programming.
Yeah, self-destruct is one of those things that's like a Swiss Army knife tool in Automata. We're going to be using it a lot here, but at least for the time being, not very much when we're trying to go fast.
It does in fact have more uses than just blowing up your dress.
Yeah.
Yeah, you blow up other enemies while blowing up your dress.
So we didn't really talk about the movement just yet, but while we're doing these fetch quests, now is probably the best of times. So unlike a Automata run with weapons, we aren't able to use those spinning attacks with the short sword or anything, or with the spear. So a predominant amount of the movement here is just by doing a dash and a punch, but trying to cancel the end of the animation of the punch with another dash. So it's just dash, punch, over and over again.
Yeah, once again, like prior, or not prior, ooh, that's not the right word. Oh no. And opposite of contrary, you would think there's this wonderful button called running. You'd think running would be the fastest way to move, but it's not. You just like tap the run button for a little bit, and then you say goodbye to it.
Yeah, surprisingly, running takes like, 50 seconds to like fully get up to speed. We don't have that kind of time. Nor is it particularly fast either, so dashing and just punching is way faster.
But you can make it faster. Just not enough to make it worthwhile.
I mean, you can run faster, but like trying to sustain that is very not conducive to just everyday running around.
This is not a Sonic game.
So if you'll notice, we talked to that one person and then just said no to her, and she's completely fine with us saying no to her.
She doesn't care. She has a machine on her head.
Yeah. And then we're just gonna do the same thing to him. He's completely fine with that. But apparently, you have to say yes to her. The game doesn't progress unless you say yes to her.
Pod 042
I forgot
she's
how
looking
to
for her
pronounce her
help.
name, so it's the resistance camp leader is who I'm talking about.
Named after a certain plant from a certain Disney movie.
An enemy is an underrated waifu in this game. I'll say it. No regrets.
I always say anemone, so an enemy.
No, stop.
First deviation from the normal route, we're gonna stay on the ground.
Footprints show that vegetation has grown to an abnormal size since the departure of humans.
A lot of the explanations in this run are really just because weaponless.
It's actually because
Which
the
is kinda
plunge is so
funny.
slow in this case that staying on the ground is faster than being in the air.
Yeah, a lot of the benefit that we would get from like going on top of buildings and plunging, we lose out on without weapons.
Yeah, this is it.
So, yep. So going into Desert Trader here, we're gonna pick up a few items here for actually selling the hide items and buying a sachet, an animal bait, 11 ranged attack ups, 11 melee attack ups, and spending the rest of our money on medium recoveries.
Hard to get an accurate picture from this. Our satellite resolution isn't so high.
So this is an out of bounds that most runners are familiar with, right outside of Desert Trader, going straight out of bounds. It's a surprisingly easy clip, and really kind of novel just seeing the map out of bounds like this through the rocks.
There's a hole
us
in the
where-
ground, and I jump way too early for that hole. It's my fault. It's like, oh wait, that's where the hole is. Okay.
Just
Yeah,
remember,
just-
walls are suggestions.
Yeah.
Walls are merely suggestions, like this wall too.
There's gotta be an easier way.
So this is a bit of a different approach than what would be with weapons. Here we're doing a bare fist lift basically into the rock and squishing 2B into the out of bounds area. It's a lot more smooth with a short sword plunge, but potato.
This sand sure is slippery.
And that's left side desert slide. Because you can slide on rocks, but you can't slide on the other rock. Sand sliding's weird. Don't worry about it.
Don't you mean rock sliding?
I guess, because she does slide on 2B slides on rocks, but I mean, she is sliding on sand as well, so hard to say. So we're gonna
So the
see some
reason why
guys.
we... Oops, sorry. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
I was gonna say we're gonna see some guys spawn from the air and then shoot these other guys over here. Okay, well that's good enough. Because of taunt chips. The desert flyers over here drop taunt chips, and we need them for combat. Because our damage with our bare fist is very low.
What's the percentage? They can all drop either a taunt 0, a taunt 1, or a taunt 2.
Yeah.
But it's like
It's a 12% chance to get a taunt chip, and we want a taunt +1 or a taunt +2 chip.
Usually a taunt +0 is more common, but if you're lucky, you can get one of those higher level chips.
by dawn.
So something that we had missed just previously, one of the detours that we took in the greater desert area was to pick up the pod that enables us to get 2 uses of our pod program that helps with extra lasers if we want to fire them off, or extra slow-mo time.
Report. Mail notification received from access point.
And so the trick coming up here is desert housing skip. This is surprisingly going to use a different technique, one that we would usually see in B ending with 9S. But because we don't have a sword to plunge with as 2B, we have to use the potato way of doing it by basically just wedging 2B between the sand and one of the walls of the building to clip out of bounds.
It's pretty fast. That trick is, especially in the ending, is a lot harder than it looks.
Yeah. I won't meme about it here, but I hear there's a lineup for it. Anyway, going into the pit here, there is one trigger that we need to pick up sort of out and about here. We see that the pit gets the red circle around it. That means that we got the trigger for it. And once we break the barricade or break the platform we're standing on, the fight may begin.
Oh,
Do we get something?
oh no. Oh, shoot. I was expecting this. This is probably Topless 2.
Nice. And that looked like a pretty small topless too as well, so
You're supposed to get 2 chips. That's why I'm fairly certain it's a Topless 2 chip. Chips have a cost to them. Some of them are a lot cheaper than others. And depending upon what chip you get, they'll be at like different valued costs. It's like 4 cost or something for the Topless 1 chips, or Topless 0, then it's 5 and 6 or something
yeah.
on the low end. And it can go up to like 17, something like that.
Yeah, usually the chips that you find in the wild are going to be much more effective and efficient on their cost and the space that they use in your inventory, whereas the ones that you buy from the vendors, like the resilience chip that we buy from Desert Trader, or any of the chips that you buy from Emil, those are usually the maximum capacity. So sure, they're a consistent way of getting those chips, but they also cost way more, so you could fit fewer chips into your inventory.
So this is the Barbie doll, a Ken doll. We don't like Ken dolls here, so gonna punch him up.
Are you sure we don't want to beat him up?
I mean, you're the one who said you like punch it up more. I'm down with whatever naming convention.
Fair, fair. We can punch him up pretty hard.
It's definitely Topless 2.
Nice.
Yeah. So if you saw like when you got hit by one of the smaller enemies in the pit section, it took like maybe a tenth of the health from mostly because they weren't taunted versus that basically like half health chunk. That's the difference the taunt makes. That's pretty good actually. Pretty good desert. Felt like it
Better,
was.
but it's still fine.
That enemy will troll you a lot.
Yeah, Adam, usually there's, especially because we don't have the damage output with a damage glitch in Weaponless, you really get to see a lot more of the attacks from these bosses, and they're a lot more potent than what a traditional ending run would make them look like. When Adam's like teleporting around the arena, it kind of gets a little obnoxious, especially with some of his attacks. But making our way to box clip. Box clip is one of those tricks that we can also do in Weaponless just by using a pod launch. We can push the box a little bit here and get the right lineup, and then basically clip into the rock. That rock lets us go out of bounds. And we can use that to get into the save circle here and save the game, reload the save, and that puts us at the teleporter or the save point later on, maybe about 100 meters, 150 meters down the road.
And now we're just gonna travel through the city ruins again? I was about to say the park, and it was like, wait, we're not in the park. That's
But
like
we're making it to the park.
It's like about a couple minutes away. But yeah, normally you go up a tree branch and then go to the top ability and do a plunge again. But plunging is slower than just doing a dash punch, so we just dash punch all the way. You'll also know that while I'm traveling, I'm not looking at enemies, and this is due to the fact that whenever 2B sees an enemy, she's like, oh my gosh, I gotta kill that person, and starts trying to attack it. But if she doesn't see the enemy, you know, she doesn't want to attack it. She just wants us to go in this way that she feels like going.
Yeah, the more complicated answer is if you want to go. There's a really cool GD, not a GDQ, GDC, a Games Developers Conference with Yoko Taro and one of the lead platinum designers, basically talking about how they wanted the game to feel good because it feels. Obviously, it's irritating when games don't feel like they're working correctly. So they wanted to like help you out by, you know, it's a beat 'em up game, it's a punch 'em up game. You want to attack enemies, so even if you're not looking at an enemy, it should make sense that you want to attack it. But for our case, that's dumb because we're trying to just move. So if there's an enemy, you know, close to you but behind you, we don't want to be punching an enemy that's off screen for some reason.
Yeah, like technologically, it's pretty cool. From what they were talking about in the GDC, but like from a speedrunner's perspective, it's actually a little annoying. But this is another out of bounds that we're doing in the park. This is Let's Play skip and eventually roller coaster skip as well. We're just making our way through the park as best we can, but for roller coaster, we're actually going to do something a little differently here. We do still pick up the same Let's Play trigger close to the first building here, and then triggering the coaster to go, causing the train to leave the station, still picking up the same triggers on the staircase and on the rails. But the difference is that we're going to be going to the tank and killing the tank. The tank is actually pretty important here because he gives like, what, 400 XP? Which is pretty substantial, in addition to the extra money that he gives from a machine core. So we could take him down pretty quick here, basically for free. As the coaster's going around the track, there's about like 50 seconds-ish, close to a minute of time where we can just do anything in the park for free without having to incur time loss. Because as soon as the train gets to the point on the track where it's supposed to trigger the next sequence, we just teleport and go.
Oh, cool.
Yeah.
Got him.
2B's a little bit like she's paying homage to a certain Kime from a Nier prequel game where she doesn't actually enjoy having fun and being on roller coasters. Instead, she wants to enjoy murder. So she just wants to murder a tank instead of being on a roller coaster. SMH.
Yeah, she has bigger targets to murder outside of the roller coaster.
Alright, so 2B says stuff, and then we're just gonna go into the menu, equip stuff, taunt this thing, hit it a couple times, sit here, and then do this again, just punch and weapon swap. And then
So
it ends.
Bolvar is one of those bosses that's actually a little challenging weaponless, just because, again, our damage output isn't nearly as high as it would be with weapons.
I got hit.
So, ooh boy.
I got lucky though. I'm happy.
Yep, there's a good example of taunt damage yet again. One attack, 3/4 health.
Yeah, so this is actually a lot more challenging than it looks, just because Isem's damage output with that taunt chip causes Bolvar to deal way more damage than she would normally to him. So getting hit on most of these boss waves is going to hurt like hell.
In general, you get 3-shot from her with no taunt chip, but if you have a taunt plus 1 or 2, you get 2-shot. So, fun stuff. Oh, that was probably the scariest part of the early game.
Yep, for sure.
If you get a taunt chip,
It's mostly because Bolvar has all these, like, a various array of attacks that you would usually see, like, in a casual playthrough, but with the amount of focus that we have on damage here with Weaponless, we want to avoid as many of those attacks as possible as she goes around the arena. So here, just taking care of these bodies. If you hit those rings that they're shooting out across the 3D space and across the floor, you can get hacked. Fortunately, Isem didn't get hacked. So we move on to the next section of Beauvoir. Here it's really important to like optimize how much punching he's dealing to Beauvoir. He's trying to make sure that he's pod firing her upper torso area while still getting punches in by punching, jump, punch, punch, and trying to get those hits in. Usually because the skirt that she has prevents the pod fire from dealing damage to her. So you'll usually see those shots like ricochet, but if it hits her upper torso, that'll deal damage to the boss. And it looks like he did pretty good did a pretty good job there with Beauvoir. And again, making it out of bounds here to outside the theater area. That's going to save a few seconds of dialogue instead of waiting for 2E and 9S to talk. He's just going to squish through the door and go out of bounds to where he needs to be. So this is usually the point where, with weapons, we would equip spear dashing, because with the coaster, we could get a spear in the time, but because we got the extra XP and money from the tank, we don't have that luxury here. And so we're just going to punch our way all the way to Pascal's village.
Yep, if you've ever played a Draken Nier game, the spears are always broken, so we're being hardcore gamers by not abusing spears.
Yeah, this is the Puritan run. Like, we don't need weapons to go fast.
Yeah, so the whole reason the screen is like all distorted like this is because it's actually Isom's favorite film filter. There we go, that's what I'm looking for. You know, it's just a really cool effect that we're gonna have on for all of the run.
It makes the run more dramatic, you know, being at 1 HP.
Yeah. It's very dramatic, actually. You got all this cool black and white effect.
Yeah, don't you like it when the screen kind of like glitches from side to side too?
Yeah, that's cool too.
Yeah, so we just visited Pascal. He gave us a 1080 Ti. Now we're gonna go back to Anne Moe so that we can give her the 1080 Ti and get like a mail-in rebate instead.
I like that. That's part of my headcanon now.
I'm sorry. The moose was in the building.
You gotta do anything. You gotta do anything these days to upgrade your PC, and you know, the resistance camp, they need an upgrade.
I'm sorry. I'm laughing because the moose was spawned into the pillar.
Yeah, that can sometimes happen. Animals don't really they don't really care about land and geometry, so they can like spawn inside concrete.
You know, because that makes sense.
Yeah.
Oh no.
So going into the resistance camp here, we just have to drop off the 2080 Ti at an enemy's bedroom here. We can just stuff it through the door. Or not. We're gonna take it to her directly.
No, I just want to do that.
It's always best to hand deliver your parcels, you know?
Oh, wait. Shoot. The moose didn't like it that we gave the resistance camp leader the 1080 Ti. Shoot.
Oh.
Well.
Oh well. Guess we'll just get another one.
Yeah, we'll have to get another 2080 Ti from Pascal and get it back to the resistance camp.
Wait a second. We didn't get a 2080 Ti.
Wait, but Pascal's giving us the mail-in rebate anyway.
Poggers.
Pog. So what we ended up doing just there is a death warp from the resistance camp all the way back to Pascal's village. We don't have time to run all the way back and forth from places like we would casually, so saving in Pascal's village and then running to resistance camp and dying sends sends us all the way back to Pascal's village, but the main quest doesn't reset as a result of that. So we can get that objective done, return to Pascal, and continue the story this way.
Yeah, it has to do with like the internal checkpoint system, basically. So like a lot of times items are retained through death. So even though we die, we'll be worked back to where we were last like transported or saved. We still retain our mail-in voucher, and so then it's like cool. Progress the cutscene, get attacked by robots because now they're mad too.
Yep. So we get new
Everyone
hardware
wants
and
this
we save
2080.
money.
Not just the
like
resistance
this-
camp. Jeez, everybody.
I like this analogy that we have going.
We gotta protect the 2080 Ti.
Imagine owning a 2080 Keck W. Okay, Rod.
Cries in my 2080 Ti.
Oh yeah. Oh, okay. Anyway, moving on. We're going to city angles here. There's going to be a hole in the wall. We want to put 2B in the hole in the wall. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't, but there is a backup for it. Let's see if Isom gets it.
Oh, come on. Oh, shoot, this is bad. Nope, this is bad. Well, it looks like we're just gonna stay here for a bit. There we go. It's all good now.
Yep, so another good example of a double lift, so you can just...
So there's a hole in the wall over there. You can get it if you go at the right angle. Haven't been getting it that much in practice lately. But anyways, through doing that, now we don't have to deal with that big guy. We can just deal with this big guy.
Yeah, so usually that first fight with the city angles up against the building, that takes forever even with weapons. Like, it takes even longer without, so we don't have time for that. And we just pod program this angles down and he dies. That completes the progresses the story.
That completes the story, it's over.
Yeah, that completes the story. Game over. All right, cool. Finished.
Yep. We've all completed the 2080 Ti segment of the story.
Yeah, can we rename these splits to 2080 Ti %?
That'd be good.
Alright.
Alright, so now there's a big hole in the middle of the earth. You know, they thought the hole in the wall was too hard to get through, so they just decided to make a hole in the floor instead that's, you know, like 500 million times the size. And we want to go check that out because, heck yeah.
Could you say that Engels was jealous of Engels' hole? So he made a bigger hole?
Yeah, you can say that.
Alright,
Because technically they're two different angles.
fair point. So this is about this is a bit of a different strategy that we put together for this segment. So we do still get the trigger to progress to the underground area. That not only gets us a trick known as Skype glitch, where we can speed up the dialogue for certain segments later on, but we also get we have to make our way to Park. That's to talk to one of the NPCs, and we're going to use his dialogue in the negotiations section to speed things up. Although it looks like Isom's having a little bit of difficulty with the long jump here.
Got it, buggers.
Nice.
Yeah,
So that's actually a really good demonstration of like the number of things that you need in order to get the amount of height and the distance here.
Alright, time for everyone's favorite trick. Looking at this piece of tree bark. Yeah, that looks good.
Yeah, this is the newest trick in the run. You're gonna get to hang out with Cursor-chan for a little bit, because basically we're storing dialogue, if you want to think of it that way, and then we're trying to get to an actual intended cutscene. But you can't. There's a lot of buttons you can't push. So instead, you have to go over to software to mouse and keyboard and use some even weirder keybinds because this is a Souls-like game and the PC port is garbage.
Yeah, so
Oh, looking
we're
the right
basically
way.
not advancing the dialogue here, so that way we can cancel the dialogue later. But if we advance the dialogue at
There
any
we go.
point during this section, then we miss out on that.
All right.
Yeah, as I was pointing out in chat, whoever found this is super awesome. Kudos to Aloy for finding this.
Yeah, and I found the weaponless setup for this, but apparently I just forgot how to do the lineup for it.
So here's your stamp card. If you collect all the stamps, you get a free prize.
Are they dead?
Yeah, make sure to search high and low.
Don't pay attention to the definite creepy tree stumps and not anything else.
Yeah, is this what this cutscene's supposed to say?
Yeah, you're supposed to be searching for stamps in this cutscene. Not sure where they are.
It must be out that window.
Maybe it's a tattoo. Maybe the stamps are all tattoos, so you just have to ask them where they got their sick tats.
Could be.
Yeah, Steve's tattoo looks pretty cool.
But remember, they're deluxe. So yeah, unironically, there's usually like a really long combat sequence there. What is it, like 45 seconds probably?
Probably a little longer.
It's about
closer to 50.
75 seconds or 2 minutes.
Yeah, so there's a very,
Yeah.
very long sequence of just standing around. Well, not in theory, just standing around, like doing a small little fight sequence, but because of stamps, we can skip that.
So, in a very rare and unconventional sense, we're actually having to watch that cutscene going into that fight just to maintain that state in dialogue, so we can skip the fight. But yeah, I think Adam is a stamp collector. Adam and Eve are probably like the best stamp collectors, but they just like beat the stamps out of everybody they see. So they're mean and really bad people.
Alright, well, 9S doesn't have to say any bad words today, so that's good.
I'll rest if I feel like it.
I basically say that if I messed up that trick, I'll basically go on the right side because the dialogue is that long. You can go to the transporters on the right side if you mess up that trick. That was a partner dialogue cancel, by the way. If you talk to your partner, then go over a little segment where a dialogue segment is supposed to be there. It cancels all the dialogue that's supposed to be there. The stamp collecting one is more powerful, though. Oops. I forgot how to do a lift.
As Shabu would say, it's like bashing two heads of dialogue into each other.
So now we're gonna go back and ask about, like a 3080 Ti. No, I'm just kidding. That's done.
But we are gonna get some upgrades, though.
We are. Okay, so it was Taunt +2 confirmed. It's pretty pog.
Very pog.
You got 2 Taunt +2s. Wow. It's even more pog. Doesn't do anything, but still good RNG. Maybe the real stamps are the friends we made along the way. I can agree with that.
Yeah, those are some pretty wholesome words right there.
All right, so now we get to go hang out with most people's waifu. I think I'm at least safe in saying that.
This works just fine.
Who, Mum?
I mean, yes, Mom.
Oh
the
wait,
mom.
yeah.
Everyone's favorite waifu. No, we're gonna go visit instead of a really bad Shakespeare reference with 2B. We're gonna go hang out with A2, who has long hair, so she's definitely different.
Who's that?
Hey man,
I play
Mother
Ian thing.
Machine
I don't
is
know
a
who
pretty,
that is.
I gotta say, Mother Machine is a pretty underrated waifu in this game.
Hmm.
And like Aloy pointed out in the chat, don't forget to upgrade to VC3. If you don't, this run is a rip.
Wait, we have VC. What's VC3?
We didn't even upgrade to VC2. Isom, we gotta go back like 50 minutes.
Okay.
Upgrade the voice chat.
I thought it was voice changer 4. What you're supposed to upgrade. I don't know.
Interesting.
Only in time.
Oh, well, there was 2 cutscenes there. I forgot what they were all about. I think it had something to do with a machine that came out of another machine. He
Yep.
decided to run away from us.
You kill a machine and then he explodes and he shows that he actually has like a skeleton head because he was excited for Halloween, and then because it's not Halloween anymore, he was really embarrassed, so he ran away.
That actually makes sense.
Wait, that happens in what cutscene?
Those 2 cutscenes.
Don't remember those
kill him a
cutscenes.
lot, and then there's the one.
I haven't seen those cutscenes in a while, dude.
All right.
Just know that a machine head comes out of there, and we meet them later.
Yeah.
They sell us a
we-
bunch of stuff.
Yeah, we managed to, we punch them up and then they rethink. They want to rethink their ways. I forget what the exact quote is, but they don't want to sell you death sticks. Instead, they want to go home and rethink their lives. And then they're like, you know what I should do? I should become a salesman. So we'll run into them and we'll buy some stuff with them because we're supporting their path to recovery.
We're gonna buy a 3090 from them.
Oh,
I feel sad that I have a
best.
1660. You guys are talking about all these other games.
it can be a 6900 XT if you'd like.
Oh, that might be bad. Oh, yeah, that's bad. Whatever.
So this is some interesting movement here to get across the moat of the castle. This is usually actually pretty simple for with weapons, but with weaponless, it's a bit of a different beast. You do need to know your movement pretty well in order to execute something like this, but Isom executes this flawlessly.
Yeah, don't worry about the beginning part where I was totally messing up the beginning of the movement. So yeah, now we're just gonna dash into this tree a bit, punch, and then clip through it, because...
Stubby hates trees. So we're being...
Yeah, dude, why... we punch everything in our way, but we have to punch the trees too. So moving up to the castle here, this is one of my more favorite tricks in the game, where we effectively just use these windowsills to climb the entirety of the castle to the top floor. So completely from bottom floor to top floor, we just go out of bounds and climb that onto the boss fight here.
Yeah. So this is a little Forest King guy. We skip the cutscene, and then... Wait, that's the Forest King, right? Oh, wait, it's an android. Okay, well, that makes sense.
Forest Queen.
This unit is
True.
by your hunt. Annihilation recommended.
Annihilation.
Yeah.
But why? And then you taunt them. And
Yep,
then,
so-
so this is like the hardest fight in the game, as you can definitely tell.
It's only unfair because A2 has weapons and we don't.
Yeah, it definitely is. That's definitely the reason why. That's what's going on.
Yeah, A2's cheating and it's not fair.
Yeah, it was supposed to be a street fight, but then somebody brought weapons. That made it not cool anymore.
Yeah, so we stun lock her until she goes away.
Wait, does that mean can we like replace the music during that fight with like some Yakuza and like and it's a street fight in the castle?
I'm sure we could. So yeah, after we checked out that hole in the floor, we got access to like transporting or like teleporting, which is dope because it means that we don't need to punch the air as much.
Yeah. Just realized 2B's practicing her punches all the time just so that she can go to places.
It's like a Rocky movie, but like way more anime.
Alright, sorry. I shot the children.
Don't shoot the children.
It wouldn't be a Drake Kid Nier game unless you did injure a child.
That's why I said sorry. I said sorry to the child. That is shot. Now I feel terrible.
I mean, this is something I've been thinking about, but how much work is 2B actually doing? Is most of the damage through pod fire? Is it actually the pod who's controlling 2B instead of 2B that's controlling the pod?
Ooh. That's pretty deep. That's actually too deep for me.
I don't know. I just speedrun the game and hope that 9S comes next to me so I can talk to him every so often. Like here.
So here's our reformed Howling boy.
Hey,
Yeah.
it's
He
that
knows how to
cutscene we
drive now.
skipped.
Yep, got his license.
He's moving up in the world. Starting a business out of his truck. Like, you can't blame him. Times are rough. You gotta make deals. So something that we do actually buy from this vendor, Emil, he sells taunt chips, and I love the sound of that. We buy, what, 4 of them?
Yes, we buy 4 of them.
I think. Yeah, 4 of them, which I am stoked about because we get to deal so much damage with those chips as a result of that.
Yep.
But that also means that these taunt chips can kill us pretty easily too.
You know what?
Yeah, exactly, Aloy. We're supporting local businesses in the city ruins. The one local business. Actually, no.
We're
probably
supporting
three
local
local
businesses.
businesses.
What are you talking about?
Resistance Camp, Desert Trader, and
Okay, maybe 3. 4. I don't know. We're supporting all local businesses, except for the weapon local
Exactly.
businesses. We don't want them. Alright. No, this, there. Got it.
so very quickly what Isom had done there was basically fuse together the Tompos 3 chips that we bought from Emil into 2 Tompos 4s and then a single Tompos 5. Tompos 5, I believe, does like...
Oh my gosh, he jumped.
I'm just looking up for Tompos 6 or Tompos 5. Tompos 5 should be 350% of our base damage.
This is such
Which
a
is pretty
good-
crazy. So
Oh.
going from a Tompos 2 chip up to a Tompos 5, that's a pretty significant increase in our damage output when punching and pod firing a taunted enemy. But that also means that we're gonna die faster. So Isom does need to be careful here against these enemies on foot. So making our way to Flooded City here, you had seen Isom go out of bounds to go to the Flooded City Discovery cutscene. We need that cutscene to trigger these enemies and the rest of the main quest here, going down to the Flooded City shore. You can take care of these enemies pretty quickly just because we have that extra Tompos 5 damage, which is bonkers. But it's just as bonkers as if we had good damage with weapons. But the marvel of it all is that we don't have weapons. So, going into everybody's favorite part of a Automata A ending run is the large shmup section that we call Grune, facing the large, like Godzilla-like machine in the sea, who is under the sea, under the sea. Sorry.
I thought he was the aircraft carrier. Who I learned from watching Raw G stream once.
Yeah, isn't the aircraft carrier like a transformer?
Maybe. I mean, they ask for assistance for their carrier, but then, like, all of a sudden the carrier disappears and something else appears. So
Yeah. Maybe that's the real story. Is that
they were
this
holding
is
all the
just
1080
like one
Ti's
Transformers
and
movie.
became more like a Transformer. Through having a ton of graphics cards, they became Transformers.
Yes. Anybody with that amount of computing power can become a Transformer.
We're encouraging people to go and buy graphics cards now.
Hey, why not? Performance per dollar.
Stream sponsored by.
Yeah, we're not sponsored by anybody.
I know, what would be the biggest meme? Like Intel's new discrete GPUs. Anyway, yeah, this is the longest shmup section in the game. I don't know if Rod or somebody in the chat wants to hit us up with some sick Grune facts, but we're about to meet the actual best girl in the game, named Grune.
Yep.
Yeah. If you guys have anything in the chat we want to throw it out there. We may or may not read it. Smile.
Should I clip in?
You can do whatever your heart desires.
Alright, we're clipping in. We're going for it.
Blue.
Come on.
So this is the Goliath flyer. He's a bit of a weird boy.
There we go.
Sometimes you can like clip into him. So like for some reason you can just go into his character model and deal damage from within. It is actually pretty important here just for dealing damage that our partner AI doesn't steal the kill from us, because you do actually lose a pretty significant amount of XP if your partner AI steals it from you. I don't think 9S did it this time, but we'll have to see.
No, he didn't. I leveled up.
Gotcha.
If I don't level up, he usually steals it.
Everybody say hi, Grune.
Hello. Wait, I can't wave. How do I wave? It's 2B.
Yeah, Grune, not to be confused with Grundier, another speedrunner's favorite boss.
Oh,
Oh, Grune, my dear.
just got that one. I still think Yorha's a pizza company. You know, they deliver
Explain.
pizza to all the starving machines. Or the
Is
machines
that
that are
why we flew
competition.
out? Is that why we flew out to the aircraft carrier?
Well, that's how it all started. You see, when it was in prologue, we were scouting for a new person to become our customers. But then we ended up beating some competition. They didn't really like us that much. So then we had to go away back to the bunker. After getting into the bunker, we realized that the resistance camp is apparently like our only customer nowadays. So we just sell more pizza to them. But then we found a new customer in terms of Pascal's village. And then this part of it is probably just, you know, more competition kind of stuff. We figured out they have this massive machine that can just produce a ton of pizza within an hour. And it just comes out of aircraft carriers.
I can see the Marks one, because the Marks one is like literally just a giant pizza cutter. Angles,
Dude,
2 giant pizza
that's some pretty big scale pizzas, man.
Yeah.
Like, could you imagine? So Grun is the factory that produces these enormous pizzas, and then what cuts those pizzas is Engels. You need a huge machine to cut this enormous pizza.
All right,
So Yorha is trying to dismantle this pizza producing operation.
yeah, where's Dale and Mash? I need to let them know my theories about Drek and Nier lore now.
Oh man, I've been cold. Probably not because I wasn't close enough. Nope. Ninus is helping. Ninus is a hero.
Exactly, Super Ganon. That would mean we are the bad guys. We have always been the bad guys.
Have you never played a Drek and Nier game? You're always the bad guy.
Exactly. We're never the good guys.
And that's why we attack children too, because children don't eat enough pizza. You want the big customers like Guru. They're gonna eat like 500 million pizzas, not like one slice and be done.
Are you Yorha?
Gotta fatten up those Pascal Village children.
I'm the commanding officer.
They do have that one really big robot. The what are they called?
The Goliaths.
Yeah, got a couple Goliaths downstairs. I'm sure they eat a lot.
Okay, here's a request. Can we get 2B to be in like a, I don't know, what is it, like a Domino's pizza like delivery uniform outfit? I would love to see that skin.
There are no good guys in the pizza delivery business. True, because Little Caesars doesn't deliver.
Ooh. Oh, there goes that sponsorship.
On the contrary, at least I know what I'm eating today. I'm definitely gonna
Fair.
go to Caesars now.
Yeah, so we gotta put some bullets into Grun's face. This is the methodology we use to destroy the pizzas within.
Oh man, I love how ridiculous this is getting.
Hey, maybe that's why Grun has such a big mouth. So, Grun has to eat the pizzas, right? Or he has to eat the ingredients. If you make
The
such a big pizza, you need a lot of ingredients.
That's why he's in the water, because you need a lot of water to make pizza dough.
Yeah.
Yep. It
This
gets kind of hot
changes
as well, so
everything.
it helps him cool down.
My understanding for Nier Automata has completely changed. Although I don't know why he's standing up. Maybe because he's like angry or something.
Well, we
We're
kind
trying
of
to, like, take his
fed him some
ingredients
different
from him.
ingredients, and he didn't like that so much. You know, these ingredients heated up his entire body, and he had to take in a bunch of seawater. So he doesn't. Just to get rid of all the seawater, he decided to stand up. He didn't
Maybe
have
he's
to sink.
doing prep, you know? He's got to toss the dough soon.
Oh, that's true too. You see, he's like.
Oh, maybe
moving his
standing
arm.
up is part of tossing the dough.
Yeah.
I mean, why else does he have like 8 arms?
He can toss
Do you
two
know how
pizzas
many
at a
pizzas he could toss with like 9 arms?
At least one.
Dude, this is enlightening.
Welcome to the non-degen hours. Realistically, there's nothing better to talk about during this run section, so this is what you're stuck with.
Yeah, this is a bit of a breath of fresh air here, ladies and gentlemen.
That's why
What else are
usually
we
it's
supposed to talk about?
usually I talk about whatever chat is talking about, because there's just not much to do. It's like, aha! We have made it to this core. Okay, the core is basically dead now. Alright, now we gotta wait to get to the next one.
Chad, how many pizzas do you think Grun can eat?
finally. Right.
Maybe that's what we're destroying here. Are these like balls of cheese or something?
Mozzarella balls. Oh man.
Aloy says 1. I think Grun can eat more.
It's like one
It has
giant
to be more
pizza,
than
maybe.
one. Oh, fair.
And the pizza's the size of the desert.
Maybe Earth is the pizza, and that's why Grun is in the water. He's trying to drain all the water to get to the pizza. That is the crust.
Just like how the moon is made of cheese, so the Earth has to be made of pizza.
I doubt you guys noticed, I'll just say this. I'm actually counting as to how many times I get hit.
Oh yeah, that's something that's actually kind of important, because Isam doesn't have his health bar. He doesn't have the health bar anymore, so he needs to kind of like stay on top of his health while still not burning through his recoveries. That's a bit of a strategy that we use in E-ending runs, where you do need to optimize how many recoveries you need to have for the end of A-ending, where you fight all these bosses and stuff. Especially since this is a bit of a challenge run. Dude, soggy pizza's the worst.
Yeah.
It's like right there below like old pizza and like dried out pizza.
Alright, we have destroyed the factory. It's all good. The pizza
so
making
now we
factory
wake
is
up.
now gone.
So
We hang it
know,
up as a
we-
trophy.
we were really proud of ourselves. So we took a nap, and we wake up. We're like, ah, yes, we did it. We killed yet another thing. But then you find out your I don't
Your
know,
Android buddy isn't here.
your delivery driver. Your squad mate is gone, so now we're going on a hunt for our squad mate.
Well, he's the navigator. We're the bouncer. I guess.
Delivery assistant. Or wait, no, is he our apprentice maybe?
Yeah,
could be.
Princess, I can do that.
We deliver the pizza, but he's there to watch.
Alright, anyways,
And
this
the way that we deliver pizza is by punching the pizzas into their faces. It all makes sense now. I'm telling you guys, this is enlightening.
I haven't
Unfortunately,
explained this for any percent.
To be here. We've got a number of broken down access points on the field.
So going into this sewer here, we're gonna be doing a different, or not. We're just gonna be running to the copied city.
Yeah, we just run to the copied city. There's not really a clip out for it.
Technically, I think you could have transported to get there, but
Nope, you can't
usually
transport
what
to
we
get
would
there.
do-
No, you can't. It's because we talked to Emil.
Oh, right, yeah. Usually, if you were to not do, if you were to not transport for Mumskip, but you also didn't talk to Emil, you would be able to use the transporter there. But because we talked to Emil, but we still did Mumskip, we would have been able to if we didn't need to talk to Emil. Anyway, now we're in the copied city, so could have been a little bit faster if we had weapons, but obviously we don't have weapons. So making our way into Atom 2, about to do man-splaining. That's the word I was looking for. So mansplaining in this box here is a little bit of a different lineup than what we would do for if we had weapons, but it's actually a little bit more precise just because the clipping power of a bare fist plunge is a little less than that, but provided with the right angle, it doesn't take too long to get there. So we still clip out of bounds and go to the elevator. So The objective is to basically skip this dialogue that we're listening to now from Adam in order to progress
Only then
the segment.
did I realize the truth, the core of humanity. Proposal.
Prioritize search for
Okay, so that's the dialogue apparently this time. It's nothing after that. Don't worry.
Everyone say hi to Mouse Chan and say bye to Mouse Chan.
Let us embrace death.
Isam has mice on his screen.
Nope. All right. Now we actually get to see how much Taunt plus 5 allows us to almost die.
Yeah, Adam 2 is one of those bosses that, like, if you do get hit while he's taunted with Taunt plus 3, Taunt plus 5, Taunt plus 6, he can do a real number on you, especially if you don't have defensive buffs. Like, he could very easily one-shot you if you're not on full HP. Even at that, I think with Taunt plus 5 and Taunt plus 6, he can still one-shot you.
It's a 2-shot for Taunt plus 5.
Yeah.
I'm not liking this. Oh, yeah, I'm not liking this. Don't worry, I'll just use a bunch of buffs.
They've evolved as business owners, so they now wear clothes as well, because their clientele didn't take too kindly to that.
Yeah, Adam and Eve are like the two corporate, like, businessmen for this machine pizza operation, and we have to dismantle that.
They're
Because
getting
we have to push forward our own pizza agenda, and we can't have them sticking around.
notification received from access point.
So now that we're back in Resistance Camp, we're just going to quickly talk to the computer lady, and that skips a pretty long dialogue with Commander. So what we do in the interim here is just to speak with the transporter, read the mail, and go to the factory.
Pascal, can you hear me?
I'm sure we don't need to tell you why it's called the factory.
Do you need something? I need
But what kind of factory is it, Chad? Do you think A machine factory, or B, do you think it's a pizza factory? Or C,
no kidding.
is it a machine pizza factory?
Actually, it's none of those. It's a religion for pizza.
Ooh,
You don't say.
It's a good
dude,
one.
this goes one level deeper. So it's like a cult of pizza, and we're going to the factory to, like, change them.
Sounds good.
Yep. No more Papa John's Domino's now, or whatever your local place is.
Working on that.
Yeah, this is this should look very familiar in a couple seconds, because this is also the prologue area. So yay for backtracking in video games.
Alright, if you're wondering why earlier I moved the camera up and down, it's because if you keep the camera still, you stare at 2B's butt for really long times. But if you move it, you don't look at her butt anymore, and she doesn't try to butt swipe you. So now you know
Except
the
we're trying to
secret
butt
to
swipe
getting
right now.
butt swiped. And that was way long ago in Marks 2. Alright. Now we're just waiting for the religious head to come over here to open the elevator so we can see all the more religious fanatics. I hope they
Yeah,
don't
so
mind
in
that we
order-
didn't bring pizza and just brought a tribute.
Exactly. So in order to dismantle the pizza cult, we have to infiltrate the pizza cult. And that's what Pascal's job here. We're going to use his computing power in order to help take this pizza cult down.
To destroy the pizza, you must become the pizza.
Exactly. Like, this factory is pretty important just because if the pizza is made here and mobile pizza arm machines can be made here, then this is a pretty important location in the Nier Automata world. We gotta take care of this pizza problem.
You know, I'm kind of hesitant on entering the cult, so I'm just gonna walk back and forth.
Yeah, Tubi can't really make up her mind here.
Oh, apparently we entered. Okay.
To be or not to be.
Well, I don't think they're very happy, so we're gonna run away. And then go to this corner of the wall and pod launch into the corner of the wall. Through doing that, we go out of bounds and void out. And after doing that, this elevator spawns. Wow, it's so cool. And all the enemies despawn. And basically the elevator is based off of how many enemies there are in the room. Since they're all gone, more will respawn. And then just movement to get Pascal into the elevator as we open it. And now we get to go and meet this person. I don't know who it is. He just says, whoa. Anyways.
He's our co-conspirator to destroy the pizza within.
I guess so. Void out again because the elevator's open. And now after voiding out, it's closed. You can open it again. So nice. Through doing all of that, we have made the game think we are halfway through the game. Halfway through this. And now to make it really think that we're halfway through it, we go over here. It's this big tube. And then you just go like this. Poof. Or whatever, we'll go for it. I know these guys don't know what's about to happen, so... Well, actually, they do know what's about to happen. Ah, I didn't get it. I tried for it. Yes, I tried for Factory V2. I'm sorry. Anyways, so we got Factory V1, so we're just going through it normally.
I see. Yeah, so usually what we can do, if we had the weapons, then we can basically get the trigger that we got in front of that door there, where 9S says the door is open, and we can teleport basically back up to the top of the map and plunge all the way down to the final section of the deep factory. But because without weapons, we don't have that luxury. And Isam very narrowly escaped there between these exploding machines. Usually that means death, but very precariously letting them blow up in front of him actually causes them to not deal any damage to him, which is very surprising.
No, I get hit twice, actually.
Oh, you got hit?
I got hit
What?
twice. Because they
How did
spawned
you
in front of
survive?
me. It was, they usually spawn behind you, is what happens, and you're able to dash through. But the crushers weren't on the right cycle, so I got hit twice by them. And
Very lucky.
realizing
Usually-
that I got hit once, it was like, oh, I just got to heal myself and wait out the crusher, and then another one spawned. And if I didn't heal, I would have died.
For sure. Usually a strategy that people use to avoid those machines and the crushers is just to go on top of those, on top of the crushers. Usually the game doesn't let you, but because we have the ability to go higher to places that we normally wouldn't with like lifts and stuff, you can actually make it up there.
So this is Mike Wazowski.
He is the keeper of the molten cheese. That's the molten cheese that you see down there.
And he's using it to protect himself. That's the beam above.
Yeah, basically this boss has like an overshield over him where we can't actually deal any damage to him. So you're just kind of waiting for some dialogue to happen. And then, you know, we're gonna do what the game is and punch him up.
Punch up.
I just shut down the electrical grid.
I didn't know he could bug out his AA like that. That was pretty good.
You guys never watch a lot of these runs, so yeah, you can do that. I know there's a lot of any percent runners that probably have no idea what happens in Weaponless, but there's also some that do know what happens. But yeah, a while ago I figured out you can just bug out his AI by just standing next to him. I hit him. The game thought, okay, it worked. That's good. You know
Nice.
what? I'll accept it. I got it.
Basically went to 1 HP there on the boss, but still got him.
I love this. This is an amazing run. It's terrible, but at the same time, it's good.
Surprisingly, breaking one of the boss's legs lets him open up this weak spot. We actually used to use that back in the day when we had single damage glitches in order to get enough damage on the boss, but with Weaponless, we get to see that strategy, so I'm happy. So, by request from Shabu, usually going through this segment, we can skip this area out of bounds, but we don't usually have that ability when we don't have weapons. So,
Actually, you can skip this area out of bounds. It's just a lot harder than you think.
a lot harder, I see. So, you may remember this trick that we did back in Prologue at the very beginning of the run. Going next to the molten cheese in these gigantic vats. We can basically just go all the way to the end of the factory and leave, just like we did in Prologue.
You see a short cutscene of our executive's brother crying. Then
I'm sorry, I'm saying most any percent. I'm fairly certain there's people who've seen my weaponless runs before and kind of know what's going on. I'm sorry about that comment earlier.
Isn't it kind of poetic? It is actually kind of poetic. It's very poetic.
It is poetic that you get to do the same things twice. It's so awesome.
at least it's
At
not
the
four times.
beginning of the run, at the end of the run, very, very poetic.
Yep.
So now we're in the middle of a delivery call from our sole customers, and they kind of hang up on us. So we're just gonna go check in and see what's going on with them.
Yeah, they said
Although
that
going into the city ruins here, we noticed that a lot of the populace has become very angry over the lack of their pizza being delivered. So we don't really have time to go through them, but we just have to make it to our paying customers here. But looks like they got to them first, burning up the place.
I guess we got to beat him up. Good thing we can
I
just
think we
run
have to
around
punch
them.
him up.
Yeah, we'll just punch him up.
Yeah, the machines have gone a little bit crazy, so they also have their Halloween masks on now, which is why they're all creepy and red.
And because this is the only place in the city ruins that has pizza, they're all trying to get that pizza. All these boxes are stored with pizza.
Wowie.
Surprisingly, this back half of the Burning Resistance camp area can be a little easier with Weaponless, just because if you equip the shockwave chips, those chips causes an effect that can basically penetrate through enemies in a straight line. And because all these enemies are in a straight line, it makes it really easy to take them out. But we don't have that this time around, but it is one of the older Weaponless strategies.
Yeah. Instead, you can just use a laser. If you don't move the camera in any way, TB will fire a laser, and because most of the stubbies, when taunted, will go into whirly arms mode. Oh, this side. Sorry.
Yep,
Trying to
so-
focus.
Yep, go ahead. So this is the other ball Mike Wazowski boss. We're just gonna do the same thing to him, break his leg, and try to punch him as much as we can. It looks like Isom's on the opposite side of the weak spot, but still gets good damage in here. He should be able to
Way
transition.
too much damage to him.
This boss is really spooky because of the electric water. I'm not sure if taunt +5 one-shots you, but I'm like 90% sure taunt +6 will one-shot you just by being in the water.
That's why we
I
break
think
the
Taunt
leg,
Plus 6
actually.
gets like 90% of your HP, but if you're not on top of it, so if the electricity hits you once and then you're in the water and it hits you again, it can very easily kill you. But this is one of the strategies that's actually kind of special for this. Because we have taunt plus 5, we can just use self-destruct while the boss is taunted and just SD kill him basically in one shot. Not usually a strategy we see in a traditional A ending run, but we get to see it because it's weaponless.
Yep. And we also get to see Tsugoiichan.
Tsugoiichan.
I don't know who Tsugoiichan is. We get to see 2B without her skirt.
Wow. It's a leotard.
I guess you could call it Tsugoiichan because you don't have a skirt. Or Bert.
Is that what happens when, like, you know, when the weapon like glitches out and it's riding along the floor with her? Is that her one ski?
I guess.
I don't know what's going on anymore.
I don't know either. So we're going to Pascal's fence here. These enemies are pretty tough too, especially with Taunt plus 5. They can hurt you quite badly. But Iceland's taking them out pretty quickly. Going on to Core 2 here. Usually we'd be able to take this guy out pretty quickly with these damage glitches, but obviously because we don't have a damage glitch,
oh, come on.
It's going to take a little bit more finesse to take him down.
Yeah, so this is Core 2, not Eater of Pizzas, but Eater of Frames.
Exactly.
Doesn't look like it was too bad this time around, though, which is nice.
Still got him in one round, especially with Weaponless. It can happen where he can go into multiple rounds, so he'll go in underground, appear back up, and have to go through the whole animation again. But here we killed him in one round, and we're just making it to the crater.
Alright, time for the question. Is Eve gonna be nice?
Eve is never nice. That's the assumption. So here, one of the strategies that Isom is going to use is more common in E-ending runs with 9S, but because we actually need that amount of damage to take Eve down in the first wave here, he's going to get him down to about half-ish, and he's going to make sure that Eve is still taunted.
Oh, that's not good.
And in order to skip one of the phases that Eve does, he's going to self-destruct. Ooh,
oh,
didn't
no,
look like
that's
he
not
was
good.
taunted there.
Oh,
So
I
he
got
didn't get
iframes?
all the
What?
damage that he got, but he did skip the platforms. All Isom needs to do is just survive, and he
Dang
can
it, I
finish
knew
out
that was
Eve
gonna
phase
happen.
1.
I taunted him at the last second, thinking that I was gonna get him down.
Ooh.
Oh well, we'll do
Ooh, that
platforms,
looks
it's
like a
fine.
death.
And there's a one-shot. So, yep. Game is spooky at the end.
I
Yeah,
don't
Eve's
remember
attacks
doing- I
there
don't-
are very similar to Adam 2. It being so underleveled and having Taunt plus 5 equipped, it's just a massive amount of damage that he can deal to you if he's taunted and you're not ready for it. So it's important, coming from this death here, that Isom picks up his chips. That's going to re-equip his Taunt plus 5 chip. I
He's gonna go into
believe
platforms.
he has his high taunt on here now, so in order to skip the platforms, it looks like he's going to make it if he can.
No. I was thinking he was gonna do platforms.
Yeah, so this is the platforms phase that we were trying to skip. Usually this takes a little while, especially even for casual play, just because the platforms are constantly moving, so trying to jump on them precisely is kind of difficult. But even more so because we're just punching him.
He's absorbing the life force of whatever's left of the network.
And so moving on to Eve phase 2, he's just going to try and dialogue skip through this, so that way Eve doesn't reach full HP while the dialogue still runs its course, because the trigger to move to the next section is if Eve's HP bar is not full and when the dialogue completes. So that looked pretty good there. Now comes the more annoying part of the Eve fight, Eve Phase 3. Because Eve is flying around here, he's a lot more difficult to hit, but looked pretty good there with the self-destruct. So again, making use of that self-destruct weapon damage to take care of Eve in one shot with Taunt. And now we can just pod fire him down.
All
While
right.
still trying to stay alive. Again, Taunt plus 5 here makes it pretty difficult just because these projectiles deals a lot of damage.
All right. Cool. Coming up on time. Oh, that was a good ending to the fight. GG's overall.
GG.
You that exists at this very moment.
Time is as soon as the cutscene starts.
Yeah.
So we do still have about 20 minutes remaining on the estimate. I think
Time.
Isom
I'm seeing that we
did
got
pick
time.
up Mirage.
Yeah, I picked up the Mirage.
Is this time?
Yeah, that's time.
In about
Yes,
5
time.
seconds. Yeah, time.
Okay, so like
Yep, time.
What was the time?
1:39:14. I accidentally reset the timer, but
That's fine. Don't worry. We need to reset the timer anyways. So,
Yahoo. GG.
so first, just want to thank NASA for having us, but we're going to do one more run after this. And also, thanking the Nier Automata community for being supportive for Weaponless. But anyways, this is 9S. He's going to get choked to death. We don't want to see it.
All right, let me set up the next runner, or rather, let me transition.
Yep, you still
Yeah,
have time.
after-
You got time.
You still have about like 10 minutes.
We're going to do another
Oh.
run. So
10 minutes for, oh yeah, for the next run.